Oh, so we just quite a reduction from the usual, no? Okay, so hi everyone. It's so nice to see you all again today for our fifth and final session of the training facilitator session. And I really hope that you enjoyed the past four sessions, and we're going to make this one a lot of fun too, with a lot of learning. And we are a small group today because of Easter. I think a lot of people are away celebrating with their families. But I think that's kind of an advantage. We can have spend more time getting to know each other. Um, so we are just to remind you once again that we are recording the sessions in the main room. So um, for educational purposes and for social media promotional purposes. And so today, what we're going to be doing is that we will be okay, yeah. Oh, I just want to inform you that some of the trainers couldn't make it. Like Rasha had a power outage, and other people because of the uh, Easter session. So we'll do a small round of check-in. So today, since we have few of us, we'll do 45 seconds check-in. So the check-in question has been posted in the chat. We'd like to know any questions or comments, etc., that you have from the last session, or any short report from the facilitating and empathy circle if you did one last week, and how was your empathy buddy call. And I'll just call on people and we can go. So Faustina, would you like to start?
Sure. So I had a really fun and sweet empathy buddy call with Jaya. That was a really it was pretty casual and just a nice way to start my week. And then right now I'm in a youth conference where the theme is trust, and it's just interesting how I see their relationship of trust and empathy, and I'm looking forward to having more empathy circles with people and learning more about the process. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank, thank you, Faustina. Jen?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I had I think I sent the report to everybody about the empathy circle that I had on Friday. And yeah, I really am so surprised about how it just went really well, for the most part. The feedback that I heard from people was that, yeah, they really enjoyed the empathy circle. They were surprised at the connectedness that they could feel with uh, each other in the groups, and I was just really surprised that it went fairly smoothly. I mean, I jumped right into this, and just I had the opportunity, and yeah, I feel really um, glad for the experiences that have led me to get to the point of saying yes to facilitating like this or organizing such a thing. I think I've been realizing about you know, just allowing myself to not worry about my fears or my insecurities and really just do what I feel is okay for me to do, and really to provide a space so that people um, can reflect, for themselves and connect with others while doing that. I feel like right now in this time, of COVID and just everything, that it's so important. So yeah, I I feel really grateful to have, the experience and be here with you all going through it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen, and I'm so glad it went well for you. And I think your facilitation skills had something to do with it, I'm sure. Okay. Menak?
So, so Larry and I just caught up an hour before this meeting, and somehow we couldn't catch up during the week, but we did so, and I'm so glad that we did. I think we discussed, uh, we had a really deep conversation about what's divine and what's moral about empathy, and it's almost led us to start asking existential questions and try to solve it within that call, like about what is the purpose of life and whatever. But it was a very fun, invigorating, deep conversation, and I'm so glad that it
Thank you, Menak. It's really inspiring to see that empathy circles are leading you to existential questions. Maybe you'll get enlightened soon. That's great to hear. Larry, love to hear from you next.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, we had a wonderful, wonderful conversation about empathy circles and meditation and the divine gift of life itself and the value of communicating empathically, even if you're talking business, even if you're talking business, to speak empathically with the human being in that divine empathic relationship. And by the end of our conversation, we decided that this weekend we'll draw up our plans. And then Monday, we will send out an email to everyone, and the world should be a brand new place on Monday. It's a little humor. A little humor. We had a wonderful conversation. So thank you for that buddy call. We did try earlier in the week and we didn't connect for whatever reason. I think there's a slight difference of time zone, but it was wonderful. And a friend of mine called and said, hey, you want to do one of these empathy circle calls? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. So I didn't even have to try to search that out. Someone called and said they would like to do that, and we did. And I spoke to my friend Kang. I hope I'm saying that somewhat similar to the way it is. And I'm hoping your sound is working awesome tonight. Yay, I'm hoping. All right, well, let's find out. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. So this is what empathy, one of the another important functions of empathy circles is building these divine connections and these connections with other people. So I'm so happy to see Larry and Manak and Kang all doing that. Thank you so much for sharing. Anu?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Priyanka. I had a wonderful empathy buddy call with Maria, and we had a good laugh. And that would also uh, that was also about the facilitation that I tried doing for Jen's circle. And the way it happened is that when I was in the room, for some reason there was something that happened, and Zoom for me crashed down, and I got dropped from that circle. um uh, I realized that I don't have any link for that meeting, and so there was no way I could go back in. I had a link for another meeting which was like facilitator circle, which we had before before the main circle began. So it was quite interesting. I was trying to reach, and then I realized that I don't have anyone's numbers either. Um, I tried reaching Rasha through LinkedIn. Couldn't reach her, obviously, because she was in the circle herself. And I was feeling so bad because I just didn't know what was happening with my group who was in that breakout room. And I was just hoping that maybe they found a way to go back to the main room and Jen would have merged that group with another group or assigned another facilitator to that group. So, and then thankfully, Jen responded once the circle was over that all went well. And, I took a sigh of relief that, oh, okay. So I would agree with what Jen says. In the end, all dots would connect. there would be someone or the other who would take care of things. But yeah, for me as a facilitator, the learning was to be little more cautious about logistics and keeping the link handy or checking in advance whether you have the link with you, etc., etc. So that was a great learning experience. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that was a great learning experience or being careful over the technical stuff. That's absolutely a great learning. Thank you for sharing, Anu.
Thank
People
you.
have been moving around in my screen, so I don't know. Payal.
Hi, morning everyone. So I didn't have my empathy buddy call, and I feel very sad because this is the only buddy call that I have not had in the entire process. Um, but I have had conversations with people who have been on this course, and that's been helpful for me. I'm also noticing in my own conversations with people in my context, I've been able to bring the listening, which is helping me to be more present, more aware. Uh, Also, the listening in the way in which we are doing is slowing me down, and I'm able to listen to a lot about what's happening to me. This is something which I'm noticing, which is new for myself, to notice about what is my trigger, what's happening to me, all of that. I had some questions and I put that up on the group, so I look forward to those questions. And I have realized that almost every session brings up new questions for me, and I feel like this child who wants to really know, and very curious to know about something. And I have a sense of sadness. Today is the last session. I'm sitting with that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your very introspective process, Payal. It's really helpful for all of us also. Thank you so much. Rita?
Hello, good to see you all. Well, this week I actually introduced the Empathy Circle method to my 6 other housemates, which I've been a little bit hesitant about for some reason. I felt like nervous about it, and it's a little bit different doing it with all the people that you live with, and yeah, rather than just like setting it up as a strict empathy circle, I just kind of invited them to do some active listening, and then it ended up like they sort of some of them chose to do it and some of them did not. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting to introduce this stuff, I think, to family and friends that are close sometimes, as we've heard even Edwin say, because it can feel a little bit more like edgy and close to home. But it really worked out, and I think even if people were sort of like first hesitant or they thought it might be weird or something, that they were being asked to sort of like listen in a structured way kind of thing, like they really felt a sense of like deeper connection, and they learnt things about themselves and stuff like that. So it just kind of reminded me to like really trust the process and be just brave, but also like gentle in like putting it out there at times. So it can be done in like lots of different ways. That was my main focus for the week.
Yes, Rita, you really said it well. Really being brave and yet gentle in spreading the empathy circles. That was a very, I think, something we can all follow. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerable experience with your housemates. Kang?
Hello. Is it better now? I'm not sure because I've moved myself to. Thank you, Larry, so much. I've had a very lovely call with Sally, and then I was very grateful that even though she had things going on for her, but she still gave me the space to be empathetically listened to first. I had the same experience as Rita. I tried to have an online circle with my cousins who are very, very close to me. They're like family online, and I dropped the script. So I had 2 circles for over the past week, and I realized that although I did quite okay in the in the demo session of this training, when it got to the real circle with people I'm close to and the energy level is really low, I just decided, okay, we're not doing active listening today. We're just going to go in a circle. And if somebody, we did have one round at the end for people to reflect what they heard. So that's the most I went with the empathy format, which also reflects back upon me that I probably need more faith and time for myself so that, as what Rita said, to be brave and gentle at the same time. And try again. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Kang, for sharing this experience with your family. I'm sure that all of us who are trying to bring this into our family with close members can learn something from Kang. And I really like your attitude of try again. And I wish you all the best with it. So, Maria?
I had a great buddy call with, where did you go? Anu this week. Our time differences made it sort of interesting to coordinate, of course, but that it all worked out and we had a great call. And it's always kind of nice to connect at that level. And as far as empathy circles, well, I'm continuing, my family's really enjoying having that scheduled sort of weekly. And I had an interesting experience. It wasn't set up as an official empathy circle, but I had two friends that visited and really needed to be heard. And so in that process, because my family's now, we're all aware of the technique and methods and the process, we didn't, and because one of them didn't speak English almost at all, we didn't have it set up as an official empathy circle. It was really interesting that although we didn't explain the process or any of the concepts, when they were leaving, the person that really had something going on for them said, I really feel like I was really heard tonight. And so that was really kind of a nice experience for the week, and getting to incorporate it and practice it in our lives was really special.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing your celebratory experiences. And we are all inspired by that. Now we move to Sally. Sally, are
Hi,
you there?
everyone. Yeah, unfortunately, my phone wasn't charged, and then it got really hot, the charger part. And so I'm holding off on, actually, what you have there are two, you're gonna laugh, hummingbirds. I don't know if you see it. It's a red hummingbird feeder. And it's what King asked for. So there it is, the hummingbirds. So anyway, I'll see if I can get that to actually become a video. But I'm also a little afraid I'll lose everything. So yeah, we had a wonderful call. And then my husband, he's really too busy, but I did get him to agree to what we call Earth, and that's I communicate and he listens, and then he communicates, and then I listen. And so it's kind of a practice, and in and of itself, it was mind-blowing because I found out I was the one who wasn't doing the listening and he was. So it was a learning experience. And okay, that's me.
Thanks, Sally, and thanks for sharing your learning about this. And I think we are all learning here, and it's a great platform to practice, learn just that, listening. So glad to see you back again, Sally. And now I'm up next. I'm going to share some of my updates. So last week was a little bit difficult for me because it just became so much more evident to me about this lack of empathy in the world. I had some instances where people were just so cruel and so unempathetic. Like there's just no intention of trying to understand everybody. There's always just this need to jump and judge somebody and tell them how bad they are, how stupid you are, how dumb you are. And I just feel so much more reinforced that I'm here today and I'm making this change in the world. And I'm so inspired to see all my fellow empathy warriors going out into the world and spreading this. And you facing all these challenges and still continuing. And like Kang said, try again, even though it didn't work. And Anu's difficulties with the technical stuff, and Jen's story so inspiring of holding this empathy cafe for a school network. Imagine like just this one thing, and then we can spread this empathy all over, which is I think Edwin's vision. So I feel so inspired and so grateful today that we are not like those people who are just sitting and judging others, and that we are trying to make a difference. So I just feel a lot of gratitude for all of you today. Edwin?
Yeah, talking about people judging, I want to bring the people who are judging into an empathy circle and feel heard too. So that's a real goal when people can express their judgments when they feel heard. I think that's one way of overcoming those judgments, and especially if it's mutual. I had a couple of good, supportive empathy buddy calls this week, and that felt good. And I had an idea for another assignment, which is, when you do your empathy buddy call, that it can also be just the listening, not your empathy buddy, but your empathy circle. Like if you have trouble creating an empathy circle, offer one person to just listen to them for an hour with empathic listening. You can say, oh, I'm just doing this assignment to listen to people. Can I listen to you? And you can talk for an hour and I will just do empathic listening. I'll just reflect back what I hear. Maybe ask, one or two questions, but primarily reflect. So that's something to think about too. That's a good exercise for kind of practicing saying, oh, you're a very judgmental person. May I listen to your judgments and reflect back? So that's maybe one way of sort of addressing that. And it usually transforms judgments because usually people just want to kind of be heard. So usually we do a little bit of a feedback on your feedback. Instead, I thought we'd just go right into the circle. If you have any questions we can just go and you can bring those up in the circle. Priyanka, did you want to jump right in and explain the circle that we're going to go into? You're muted.
If I had a penny for every time I heard that sentence this year and last year. Okay. So we're going to go into the breakout room. So in this breakout room, we're just going to do a normal empathy circle. And this circle is very important because we're going to integrate all your experiences and learning. We're also going to harvest all the feedback that you had about the training. We'd really love to also hear what you will do next with the empathy circle training. So some things that you might consider in talking about in your circle breakout rooms would be, what do you like about the training? What were the benefits? What are your next steps with applying these empathy circles? Or as always, whatever is alive in you, if there's something that you want to talk about that's alive in you, please go ahead. Your turns will be 5 minutes each. So we will go until 15 minutes to the top of the hour. And then at the end, we'll have a 45-minute debrief. You will get a 10-minute warning at the end. So watch out for that.
Okay, since we're a smaller group, I was thinking of just doing 2 circles of 6 each. That's a bit much, but I'm afraid if we just do 4, somebody will drop out and you just have 3. So it's a bit of a toss up. So we'll have one circle with Priyanka and then one with me being the facilitators. And you're all experienced facilitators. So the thing with an empathy circle is if everybody knows how to do it, you just start doing it. You don't even really need a facilitator, just somebody to kind of keep time and set the topic, which I've posted there. And I put the 4 minutes because I just on the fly, I changed it to 6 participants and it'll give everybody more turns.
Yep.
So we just have to keep one group here. And you can also, if there's any questions you have, you can bring up those questions too, besides, what you liked or feedback about the course. So here we go. And we have 1 hour and 15 minutes in the circle. Then we'll come back to debrief. There we go. Okay, can anybody keep time? Anybody have a clock to 4 minutes? Thanks. And just jump in, whoever would like to start. The questions are in the chat. What did you like about the trainings, benefits? What are the next steps or whatever's alive for you? Whoever would like to start, select your listener and you got 4 minutes.
Edwin, can I request you to put the questions again, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you're speaking to me, so I will reflect back, Payal. So I'm hearing that you really wanted to see the questions again. Is there more? And you're muted.
Yes, Edwin.
You want to continue, or it sounds like you might be busy there with your child there. So someone else like to start?
I guess I will.
Okay.
And Edwin, can I just go with you?
Sure, I'm listening.
Yeah, the things, well, I kind of looked at this as a stepping stone for working with this group of people, well, this woman in a community in Kenya. And then something happened on my phone and I got disconnected from the community and the grant I was writing. And it was really sad because I wanted to start this with them, but I'm thinking maybe that was just too big of a challenge for me anyway. And so small steps and
Can I reflect
got
what
a
I'm
lot
hearing so
of
far? Can I
what?
reflect that? Can I just pause
much,
to
huh?
reflect back? So I'm hearing that you're
Okay.
feeling sad because there was this group in Kenya that you wanted to work with and do empathy circles, and something happened to your phone where you just kind of lost the connection. And you're also seeing the empathy circle as sort of a stepping stone. It was like your first step towards holding these discussions there. And you're feeling sad about the disconnection.
Yeah, and that, well, they're not going to get their grant because I don't think they'll know how to even go to square one. But yeah, but it was so exciting just working at a scale with my husband, and we just developed something called Earth, and we're just talking to one another and hearing, and within his time allotment, and which I realized I was the one who wasn't listening.
So you're feeling
So it
some
was
excitement. You're feeling some excitement because you and your husband are having some time together, and you had a realization that actually you're the one that wasn't listening well.
and that he is an incredible listener, and he will, it's like, I had no idea it was me. And that's what he kept saying over and over and over again. So,
Yeah. So you're like really surprised that your husband is actually a really good listener, and he kept saying, you're not a good listener. You're realizing that he was actually right, and it is you who wasn't listening well. And so you're kind of excited about the realization, the insight.
so I guess you just start with square one, and square one is your husband, your family, and that is very exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting because you just started square one, which is the people around you, like your husband, and it's sounds like you're sort of celebrating that you're making a connection with him.
But I do want to expand to maybe the university. I'm just not as afraid of it. I'm not, feeling the way I did in the beginning, just abject fear.
Yeah, at first you just had abject fear about doing this with other people, and now you're doing it with your husband, and you're going to want to expand to the university, and that's your time too. So you're have some more confidence.
Yeah, I'd like to, but
that was the
I
time too. I don't
haven't
know if you
really
saw
figured
that.
that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, thanks.
I'm gonna close
the
door.
Go for it. Great. Yeah, Faustina, can I speak to you?
Yeah, I would love to listen to you.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's always so gratifying just to hear everybody's experiences, just to hear, oh, I got this insight. I'm not a good listener. My husband is. That's a great story. I really enjoy it. It's like growth, right? We're all growing. And it's like, it just feels really good just to see people growing. So I just have a lot of, I don't know, it just feels really good to see that growth.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that you really enjoy hearing other people's stories about their own experiences and their own you love hearing their insights and realizations, and it's a really gratifying experience for you seeing other people's growth on their, yeah, is that right?
Yeah, that's it. And what I like about the empathy circle, it's co-growth, co-learning. Like in this circle, there's no teacher, really. There's nobody really in charge. The facilitator only holds the space. But if everybody knows how to do the space, you don't even need a facilitator, right? And so it's everybody kind of at an equal level growing together, from our shared experience.
Yeah. So you really appreciate how in empathy circles the growth and the learning is really a collective experience, and we're kind of all on the same page, learning and growing together. Um, and if everyone is committed to the process, then there isn't really a need for someone to lead the process exactly. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And there's something about seeing our common humanity, because I can really identify and I understand what Sally's talking about, because I have my own partner. We have our own personal issues. So, there's always, who's listening, who's not. So I can really, so I learn and grow too. So, and I learn and grow just by hearing everybody's stories.
So, with hearing everyone's stories and their experiences, you find that, with this, you actually can learn and grow from it as well. And that with everyone's sharing, you can identify with them and really see the common humanity in our group. Yeah.
Yeah, very exactly. I feel very well heard. Thank you, Faustina.
Okay. Um, Anu, would you be my listener? Okay.
I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really agree with what Edwin said about this collective learning. I really feel like, with after having this experience with this learning environment. That when I go out and when I try to share this gift of empathy, I feel like I can carry everyone that in this cohort. I have everyone with me in spirit. Yeah.
So I'm hearing you. You sound in agreement with what Edwin said about collective learning, and this entire experience has made you feel that when you go out to the world, you carry the gift of empathy. So you also carrying a bit of each one of us, the way we were here in this cohort.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized when I would try to, for example, facilitate an empathy circle, and it's just the little things. I would remember a detail like that you, Anu, shared when you did your facilitation, and I would remember that, or like how Jen would say this specific instruction, and I've learned so much from everyone, and it's exciting, really, the potential I see that. Okay, even with just spending a few hours with these people once a week, we can already rub off on each other so much, and it excites me how much, like, the potential of how much am I teaching the people in my life, like, it's exciting to think about.
So you sound excited about the fact that despite spending like maybe a couple of hours every week, the impact that it has created on your teaching and the way you would now facilitate, it's just made up of these experiences, whether it was listening to me or Jen, giving instructions or talking about detailing. So that's kind of surprising as well as exciting for you, that how have we imbibed those small pieces from each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just, yeah, I think I think, hold on, let me collect my thoughts. Yeah, one thing I have such a strong opinion about is education and making education accessible. And I've been thinking about how, just conversations, like fruitful and meaningful conversations, can be so educational already. And this empathy circle, for example, is such an accessible way to get this kind of education. Um, yeah, does that make sense?
Mm, mm. So I hear you saying that you really feel for education and the fact that it needs to be accessible, and the simple way of coming together, having conversations, especially the empathy circles. um, they give you they present like an example, how easily education can be accessible to others.
Yeah, yeah. And I really carry this spirit of growth and learning. Um, that's my yeah. Thank you. The time. That's kind of my main takeaway, is just holding this environment for growth and learning. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so you sound content and you sound happy with the fact that you're taking this away as a gift for growth and learning.
Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you so much. Jen, would you like to be my listener today?
Yes, I would love to.
I have been listening to Sally, Edwin, Faustina, and there is this thought in my mind that this is the final circle of facilitators training, and um, makes me feel both happy and a wee bit sad. Um, that it's coming to an end. This facilitators training is coming to a conclusion.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you saying that you're listening to everybody in the circle, Edwin and Faustina and Sally, and you're feeling really glad and you're really enjoying it, and you're feeling sad that it's coming to an end.
Remind myself that the circles would always remain open. And Faustina said something about how easily accessible these circles are. I really love the fact that you just need to click on that Zoom link. There is no registration, there is no password as such. Anyone can, it's like an open door um, thing. You can walk in and you can sit in a circle and just enjoy the conversations. It's so easy to have access to. So it's not essentially coming to an end. It's always going to be there for us to walk in and sit and talk with each other.
Yeah, I hear you realizing that, it's really not actually coming to an end because it's so accessible. Like Faustina was saying, how, it's wonderful to have educational opportunities so readily accessible, and that these empathy circles really are that. You can just click on a Zoom link and there's no registration, and you can just sign on anytime and enjoy the conversations and participate.
Yeah, and in terms of how beneficial the training has been for me personally, well, I have always been credited for being a good listener. I've been an agony aunt to many friends, and people in my circles. They have come to me, and I've kind of enjoyed listening. Um, how this training has helped me to understand that how can you share this gift with others. While I have been listening from others that you've been, you are a fantastic listener, I just perhaps didn't utilize a simple method like this, uh, where by having a little bit of structure and process can tell people that how can we have good speaking habits. Like as a speaker, if we take a pause and allow the other person to reflect, so it can be easy for the listener to reflect. Or as a listener, something like Edwin just did, like saying that, okay, hold on, I want to reflect before you complete. So this has been my learning.
Yeah, so I hear that you have always been known as a good listener, in your circles of friends, and you've always felt that you've been a good listener. And you've really enjoyed that. And joining the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training has allowed you to really, that's the time, has allowed you to really experience effective speaking as well, and really speaking in a way that helps the listener to really digest what they're hearing, and even, allowing the speaker to slow down so that the listener can reflect back easily.
Yes.
That's a great learning for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. I feel fully heard.
Wonderful. Okay. Payal, would you be listener for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really so grateful and just enjoying the circles and the training and everything that I've been experiencing. Gosh, I love the thing about there's actually no leader. And, that is the thing in my organization that it's always been really important for me to not have any kind of hierarchy, although we, like there has to be, there's a founder and there's somebody who's sort of spearheading things, but really actually we can't do anything alone. We're doing everything as a team, and that's kind of how I like to see, my work, and the work that I can really kind of raise up is that, we're all leaders. And we all need to find that within ourselves.
Mhm. I hear you say that you're enjoying this process, and the fact that this process does not have a leader and is an equal space is what you're enjoying. Also, looking back at your own experience of an organization where there is hierarchy, you believe that everybody is a leader within, and that's what you are also liking about it.
Yes. Yeah. I, as a doula, in seeing when I work with couples who are having babies, it's always my intention to help or to kind of remind people that they're having that people who are coming onto the planet now are going to be stewards of something, in this on this planet, and to either, just whatever it is, they're coming here. All the babies that are being born, they're meant to steward something in this time. And so, I just feel that any space that we can have that allows people to reflect on who they are and why they're here, allows more of that to come, more of that for the generations to come, to have access to that.
You sharing that you feel a lot for and you help couples who are bringing in babies into the world, and you believe that children who are coming into this world need to have a stewardship towards something, and hence you're saying that if there is that space that's provided, then that it's they're coming in with my language, my word with a purpose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That really feels good to me. I think that there have been times, I guess, I think what's on my mind a little bit, or, of this like becoming unencumbered with thoughts of like not knowing not knowing what we're doing here, like I think that there's this sense of like, well, what's going on, and I think that just being able to remember, come together in a group like this and share with each other what actually is going on is very helpful. It's just, yeah, it's just so helpful. And
Then I'm really sorry. I just got distracted. My son just got hurt and he's just come in. So I couldn't really focus on what you shared.
that's my time. That's okay.
Sorry, Jen.
No worries. Yeah, that's the
Oh.
the beauty.
Do you want to say it again, Jen? I can just reflect, just so you can feel heard about that last
Thanks.
part. I'm
Thanks,
hearing
Edwin.
people are coming into the world, babies, and they're going to become stewards, and it's important just, and you wonder like, what are you doing here? And it's just remember that we are here to sort of connect with each other. Is that sort of the essence?
Yeah, that's kind of the sense of it. I mean, and I think that as adults, I think that for me, I have in the past wondered like what exactly is going on here, and I think that, having spaces like this to connect and clarify our thoughts, yeah, is just really helpful.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, what's going on? What are we doing here? And just having a space to connect like this is just helpful to feel maybe a sense of connection and
Yeah.
purpose, meaning.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Payal, are you ready? Do you want to speak, or do you
Yeah.
want to select someone?
Thank you, Edwin. I'm sorry, Jen, for not being available. So right now, I think on my mind is a little bit of
Who are you speaking
anxiety
to?
of.
Who do you want to speak
Oh,
to?
sorry. Can I request Faustina to please be my listener?
Faustina.
I would love to. Yeah.
So, what? Just one moment, sorry. Yeah, so what's been on my mind is to be able to be fully present sometimes during home processes like these, where I am doing the work that I'm doing, or I'm in a process, and there are demands. I think I see them as demands, and I find myself very triggered in those moments because some of those demands in my mind are unreasonable, and I'm not able to be fully present, which I'd like to do.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that one thing you're dealing with now is the struggle of being fully present in these processes. Um, One thing that makes it difficult is sometimes you're unable to control the thoughts that enter you, and yeah, it kind of distracts you in a sense. Did I get that?
Yeah. Um, I'm also seeing that I'm able to bring the empathy process. One moment.
No worries, go ahead.
Okay, so can somebody please step in? I'd like to kind of take a brief. I'll just be there, but I may not be able to stay. Is that okay?
Okay,
Sorry, Faustina.
that's okay. Um, does it then become my turn?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay,
Your
sure.
choice.
Um, Sally, would you be my listener?
Oh, yes. I look
Yeah,
forward to it.
thank you. Um, I think just a challenge, maybe just to share that I'm kind of dealing with is after I listen or just after facilitating, I find myself to be quite tired or drained. Not that it feels not that I feel bad. I just feel tired, and so that's kind of what I'm working on, building that capacity to listen more and listen longer.
You, at the end of a facilitation, you have you just feel tired, and so you're working towards not feeling tired at the end of an empathy circle facilitation, and
Yes.
you want that to be your angle.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I kind of wanted to ask um the group, or just yeah, I just wanted to know more how other people deal with this kind of listening fatigue, I would say. Just how else wondering how else can I take care of myself, because I realize, in this process of listening to other people, I do forget to listen to myself. That maybe I'm doing too much already, or maybe I need a break. So there's also that struggle of finding the balance between listening to others and listening to myself.
So you feel that the tiredness is probably because you're not giving attention to yourself, and it's on other people, and you need to find a balance for your own needs.
Yeah. And just to bring it back to the empathy circle, I really value that about the empathy circle again, that the responsibility of holding the conversation isn't just on one person. I do like that I can relax a bit as a facilitator during an empathy circle when I know that people are willing to hold the process and to hold the space. I think that I also really value that about the empathy circle model.
So you recognize and appreciate that the empathy circle holds everyone in a safe space, and that it is not really that big of an impact on, making you tired. It's a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sally. I feel heard. Yeah, I feel heard.
Thank you. Okay, Edwin, I'm gonna just go back and talk to you. And well, I just, well, I could just start with this, that I can just sit down and read a book and not hear anything in my surroundings and just tune out the world. And so it's been a real challenge for me to listen because I get involved in things. So I'll just stop there.
Okay, if you sit down with the book, you can get really involved and you just tune out the world, and it's a challenge to kind of listen sometimes because you kind of get involved in things.
Yeah, I just completely can tune out everything. And I don't know if people can do that. I don't think my husband appreciates it. But yeah, so this is a radical change for me. And I'm also thinking, what about other people who have varying abilities to listen or speak in the same kind of situations? It's not like they're doing something bad, it's their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have this way of sort of tuning out and then you're wondering about other people. Maybe other people sort of tune out like that as well. And it's not like they're bad or something, it's just sort of the way they are. And you're just sort of wondering about that. And that I think I'm hearing that the empathy circles has been a bit of a radical change for you because you're listening more and more deeply.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this week has been a real it's been a shocker. But at the same time, yeah, I'm just thinking of the challenge to people as they go about their lives, and this accessibility of the process, and how people can actually tune in, just like turning on the TV. I just like to see something easy happen, like through education and through politics, and anyway, I just like to see it happen.
So you'd really like to see it happen, that people listen to each other, that they can sort of tune into each other and then maybe education and politics would support that. And it sounds like you see the benefits of people listening, and you just want to kind of sort of spread that.
And I can also see how people tune each other out. And it may not be wrong. It's just a liberal will tune out a conservative, and a conservative will tune out a liberal. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, so you just see how people tune each other out. Liberals tune out conservatives, conservatives tune out liberals, and people just tune each other out. And that's just sort of how it is. And that was the
And
time. We just got the time marker.
oh
from
yeah,
Jen.
and there's just no
Okay.
progress where there could be.
Yeah, so you're maybe feeling a little bit sad that there's no progress, and you would like to see some progress with fostering listening in the schools and politics. And sounds like you would enjoy people listening to each other more.
Yes. Yeah, it's I guess that's it.
Okay.
I feel
great.
fully heard.
Okay, great. Then I'll speak to Anu. Right.
Yes, listening.
Yeah, I'm with Sally. Let's kind of spread listening. Let's bring it to the politics. Let's get to politicians. We have our next steps. One of our things is, what are we going to do next? Let's get to politicians and the education system just to support listening, better listening.
So I hear you, taking it from Sally and kind of feeling excited about it, that's exactly the kind of next steps that we can look at. Let's take it to the world. Let's take it into the politics. Take it to the politicians.
Yeah, and I think it's the mutual listening. One thing that, Faustina is talking about getting tired. One thing you get tired is if it's not mutual listening. Like I get tired if I'm just only listening. But when it becomes mutual, it's kind of like we're supporting each other. And I think that mutuality is something that's very important to have.
So I hear you reflecting upon shared as one of the the challenges that listening can create tiredness. Saying that it can if we are just listening, but if it's a two-way thing, then it becomes a mutual exercise, and that can be a great tool for supporting each other rather than just listening.
Yeah, and you might, if you could put your phone on a solid base, then it won't move and you'll have more bandwidth because you're kind of breaking up a little bit, just as a tip there.
Yeah. So I hear you that I think I'm breaking up, and that's what you are telling me, that if I just kind of stay at one place, perhaps, then I will enjoy a better bandwidth. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it? How is it now?
I think that's helping. But if it's
Yeah.
if it's solid, if the phone doesn't move, then it doesn't have to refresh all the time. And yeah. And then you don't break up as much.
So staying at one place, perhaps, allow the voice not to break up so much.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I want to address, the listening fatigue, I think that Faustina was talking about, is that's why it's important to have an empathy buddy. So it's like someone that will listen to you and you have mutual support. So that kind of helps with the fatigue, that, oh, you got an empathy buddy that's going to listen. So that's one thing that helps with that fatigue.
So you think that having an empathy buddy is also another way of helping you with the listening fatigue, because you kind of share with each other and you feel supported.
And then what's tiring is when you're with people who don't know the process and you have to spend a lot of time kind of familiarizing them with it. But once they know it, like here in this group, it's a lot easier because it's like you don't have to think of all that because everybody already knows it. So if you have a group that always familiar with the empathy circle practice, it's like you don't even need to facilitate, actually, because everybody's already sort of holding the practice together. And then that kind of takes some of the responsibility off your shoulders.
Mm. So I hear you saying that a part of the fatigue could also be from a situation where the group is not familiar with the empathy circle process, and that adds to your responsibility to kind of see to it that the process is run the way it is. But if there is a group like, for example, ours,
Mhm.
people just go about participating in a circle, and that's far easier. There is no responsibility and less fatigue.
Yeah, so I feel heard, fully heard.
Thank you. Um, okay, I'm not sure if you are comfortable to be a listener now, Payal.
I can listen in now.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to be a listener then?
Yes. Thank you for being patient with me.
That's okay. May I?
Yes.
Okay. I've been hearing intently, the conversations which are happening here, and it's got me, in a reflective mode. I'm trying to recollect the entire experience. I think I don't know how many circles I've been a part of now, uh, by virtue of attending this facilitator's training. So I'll take a pause here.
Yes, so you're saying you're enjoying this process, and you're also you also don't have a count on the number of circles that you have attended just by being a part of the facilitators now.
Yeah. And I would like to share with the group, the shifts that I have experienced in myself, um, from the early days, maybe the first circle that I attended. Uh, there was this, interestingly, Edwin used this word responsibility. I would like to talk about, some sort of responsibility that you feel that you have, especially when you are a listener.
What you're sharing is since the first circle, and now you're sharing that there is a sense of responsibility that you experience as a listener.
No, so what I meant is that, there has been a shift and the change in me from the time I attended the first circle. Um, and now it's changed. It's changed. I was carrying this additional weight, this additional responsibility on my shoulders that, I need to be a good listener.
Okay, so you're saying that this is more about your own shift from
Yes.
the beginning to now, and how you see that has evolved. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Being a
And
good
I'm saying that,
listener.
yeah. And I'm saying that pressure has been eased now. Um, Maybe I just wanted to prove myself and, try and be a good listener initially. And then I realized that it's too much of a pressure to carry. And that was causing, like Faustina mentioned, that was causing a cognitive overload, to be able to remember everything and to be able to replay.
Mm. You're sharing that when you began, it began with the need to be good at everything, and that's where you were carrying the burden of replaying everything. But that was more at a cognitive level.
Correct. And then somewhere during the process, I said this to myself that, I need to enjoy the process, and I need to enjoy the conversations as they flow. I think what really helped is in one of the breakout rooms. I think someone said this. I think Lizzie said this, that it's not a memory test, and I think that kind of unlocked a lot of things for me. And I said this to myself that it's okay even if I forget few things. There are people who are listening, and they might add to the reflection if I miss out on crucial information.
You reminded of that particular breakout room when Lizzie mentioned that this process is not about a memory test. And even if you may forget some things, you have the holding circle, which will be really listening.
That was the time too. You might not have seen it on the cell phone. Jen held up the time.
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just waiting for Payal to finish reflection. I'm done. Yeah, and just to feel fully heard, I would like to add what perhaps Payal may not have added, is that I feel much more comfortable now. I have learned to enjoy the conversations and thus less fatigue. Yeah, I feel fully heard now. Thank you.
Yeah, so Anu, I heard you in that. Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jen, would you want to be my listener?
Yes, listening.
When I started wanting to share, when I entered the breakout room, it was about my thoughts of how I am making attempts to use this listening process in my work, in my day-to-day conversations. But something at home just triggered it, and I lost all track of what was happening and what I wanted to share. Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say that when you first entered the breakout room, you had an idea and thoughts of what you wanted to share about how the circle has affected your work and your daily, your day-to-day life. But then something happened at home, which made you lose track of what you were thinking, and you got triggered. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. Yes. So currently I'm sitting with a sense of frustration, sometimes helplessness, of just being able to do some of the stuff that I want to do at peace without being distracted. And the way in which I am operating is largely right now as a single parent in the context that I am in. So it is also a lot more overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're sitting with some frustration and feeling kind of helpless as a single parent because you're just really not able to do everything that you want to do because of your situation.
So how I'm seeing, or whenever I sit to an empathy circle, it's been my first one. But one thing that's been on my mind is a sense of void, of missing this space, but also looking at how can I make this a continuous process. And I think one of the members in the group shared that sometimes when people in my context don't know about it, it's very frustrating to even sit and spend that much time. So much of judgment, so much of competition, all of that, and real listening doesn't happen. At one space, I find myself wanting to go aloof from there, but also missing a space.
Let me see if I'm hearing this correctly, that you have had this experience of being in the circle where sometimes there's competition or there's judgments and feeling like it's hard to be in the space, and that you want to remove yourself from it. Did I hear that? And
so I'm just saying that in the circle, I find that comfort, but in spaces where people don't know about a process like this, where there is competition and judgment, I find myself wanting to pull out from those spaces. But I
Oh,
don't know of a similar such thing.
right. So you're finding comfort here in the empathy circles, but then when you're in other places that are not, that don't have the empathy piece, there's more where there might be more judgment or competition or something, you find yourself wanting to remove yourself from that, but then wanting to bring the comfort to those situations. You feel you want to do that.
Yeah. And right now, I feel the need for more of these spaces to be able to first live myself, to be able to practice it myself.
Oh, yeah, so you wanted to you want to have more of these spaces in the world, and you really are feeling, I hear you saying you have a commitment to do that, to try to bring it into the world. Mhm.
Thanks, then, for listening to me.
Yeah. Do you feel fully heard?
Yes, thank you.
Good. I'm glad. Okay. Anu, would you be a listener for me, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm thinking a lot about bringing the work out into the world, and my first attempt to do that last week, and how there were some technical difficulties that you experienced, Anu, and I feel so sorry for that it was a difficult experience in that way. And I realized that these things are going to happen, and it's such a learning experience.
Mm. Yeah, so I hear you talking about, I hear you uh, sharing your desire to take the work to the world, and in that sense, the experience from last Friday's empathy circle, and you also feeling for me, you empathizing that what I shared was my challenges, and you say that they might while you understand them, but this can also be a great learning experience for us.
Yeah. When it was happening in the moment, and I saw your messages come in, I felt so helpless in a way. I felt so like it was so difficult, and I wanted to find the link, and I realized like I didn't have the link right there, and these things were crossing my mind. And so it is really good. I will always remember this experience now, and learn from it, and you know um try to have all like that kind of detail, like the link, if somebody drops off, how do I just have it right there? Not how do I just have it right there so that I can copy it and send it. Yeah.
So you sharing your thoughts on what happened that day, and you also feel that you sharing your thoughts on how helpless were you feeling in that moment when you looked at some messages from me, and and we were locating that link, and the link was not to be found. um, and this also makes you feel that it can be a good experience in the sense that it teaches us to be more handy with the links and keep them you know with us, so that we can quickly use them when we need to.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the challenge is, I guess I'm just thinking about bringing the work into the world, and how difficult things some might roll out. There might be difficulties, but overall I feel so inspired still to just continue, continue trying. And because like what Sally was saying about how there's spaces where, and we're all saying forms of this where it's so difficult sometimes just to hear each other or just to listen to each other and have the space for that. And it is so important. And I just keep thinking too about, you know, babies in the belly, how some moms, you know, and dads don't, like, they're not totally aware that the babies can hear everything, and even when they come out and go into the world, they hear everything and they actually understand everything. You know, it's like the babies are listening, and it's sometimes it's so hard for us to listen to the babies, you know, or the children as at every stage of development. And it's so important, you know, that we even hone the skill of listening to children. You know, it used to be that kids were a blank slate and they didn't know anything, but that's just not true.
Yeah. So I hear you saying that as while we are talking about the challenges and other things, but it's also important for you, how important it is for you to take this work to the world. And you also, you are in agreement with Sally when she said that these spaces are created and they are not there where we are able to listen to each other. And this listening begins from the time the babies are in the belly. They are listening to the parents, and parents may not be even aware of that. And then as parents, how do we listen to children as they grow up, as they are in different stages of development? So, and if we listen, what kind of impact would that create, especially on the kids who are like blank slates? When they feel heard, how would that contribute to their shaping up to who they are?
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening.
Yeah, so I'm just I'm just thinking of talking about my experience in trying to hold an empathy circle with a larger group where I didn't have a co-fac, a co-facilitator, and I think it was a brave decision. I tried experimenting it, that how does it go, and it was fairly early in the facilitators training. I think it was the first week where I thought, okay, let me try do something like this with one of the large group that I was facilitating. I'll take a pause. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just the first week or two of the training that you took on holding an empathy circle with a large group, and sounds like you want to share that experience, I think.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for us to talk about Empathy Cafe, because I've made a note of this somewhere, that when we have a large group, and let's say that when we have 2 facilitators, how do we hold Empathy Cafe? So while I may get an answer to that a little later, I would like to talk about my experience. And I what I tried doing was to give good explanation, like good instructions for people to understand that how this process looks like when you are a speaker or you are a listener. So tried explaining the roles in as much detail as I could.
Yeah, so you'd heard about the empathy cafes, and that's actually what you're trying to hold as an empathy cafe, and you have questions about that. So you want to talk about your experience of trying to hold this cafe, and you really tried to explain the details of how it went, and yeah.
Yeah. So it was a fairly big group, and there were about 4 breakout rooms that I created. Now I'm fairly good with the back end, management, logistics with Zoom, and I kind of go in the rooms myself when I'm facilitating and try and see how it is going, how the things are going. So I tried doing the same. Explained everything. People said I checked their clarity. Uh, I checked whether anyone needs to ask anything. They said, "Oh, we got it. We got it," and they sounded excited that, "Oh, okay, now this is good." Um, and a few of them cross-checked that. Okay, so would that mean that as a listener, I'm not supposed to be asking anything, just listening? Um, and I said, yes. For some time we will hold on to this temptation. Don't ask. Don't give opinion. Don't advise. So it looked all good, right? And 4 rooms, and I tried going to each room. Yeah, I'll take a pause here.
Yeah, so you were trying to set up this empathy cafe. You explained to everyone really well how it worked, and they asked a few questions. You're good at the back end where you can kind of go to the different rooms and check on people, and so you sent them into the room. And
Yeah. So room number 1 was going, perfect. I mean, to the T. There was this nice environment, and there was a speaker and a listener. Room number 3 is where I saw, the listener is cutting off the speaker and trying to do the fill in the blanks for the speaker, and I started scratching my head. I said, okay, it's like going back to square one. Yeah.
yeah, so in one, you went into different rooms. In one room, everything was working well. In the other one, it wasn't working very well. And that was the time too. I don't know if Jen held up the clock.
Mm.
Did you feel heard
So
for now?
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Yes,
Okay.
for now, yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'll speak to, I guess, speak to Jen.
Okay,
I
listening.
don't think I spoke to you. I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, in terms of what Anu's saying, from my experience, I've had like a bunch of groups explain everything. You go into the groups and people are just start talking. So that's why I found it's pretty important to have somebody who, they don't have to be a trained facilitator, but that they've done the circle a couple times just so that they know what the process is.
Yeah. So you've done an empathy cafe a bunch of times, with a lot of people and split them into groups. And you've found that it's helpful to have somebody there facilitating. They don't have to be a fully trained facilitator, but somebody who has attended circles so that, they can help guide.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise I just see people just start talking. It's just, they'll just talk. They don't, follow the rules. Like, oh, this is fun. Let's just talk. And everybody likes to just talk, but then you just get the normal dynamics. The more assertive person does more of the talking, the silent people, get less talking, etc. So the empathy cafe is not really covered in this training. I think it needs to be a module on its own, like how to hold an empathy cafe, because there's more sort of logistics and so forth. So we don't really cover that. This training is just, how do you get 4, 5, 6 people together and do an empathy circle?
Mhm. So yeah, if you don't have a facilitator in the breakout rooms, people will just start talking, and everybody likes to talk, and it just it'll go right into dynamics, and the more assertive people will talk, and the more quiet people will just be silent. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and this training that we're in right here, empathy cafes are not really covered, and this is mostly for um, a small empathy circle.
Yeah, and to prepare people, it's good too to send them the videos to watch, have a lot of preparation plus the explanation to begin with, and then breakout rooms with the facilitator. So it's, I guess metaphorically, it's like a container. You want to make the container stronger and stronger with kind of more support to keep people within the process. So that's just some thoughts about that.
Yeah. So yeah, you're saying that that this is really just like a container building. It's really important to build the container and have, you know, all the rooms taken care of so that, yeah, people stick to the process. And
Yeah, and like the one that you're doing, Jen, the next one, I'm sure will be a lot easier because everybody, you know, they've all experienced it. So it'll get kind of easier with time to hold people in the process too.
yeah, so like in the one that I'm doing, because they have had experience with it one time, that it'll probably be easier, you know, because they will have had that experience. And we'll also have the facilitators in the, you know, attending.
Right. Yeah. And then the other thing was I want to get back to Faustina, what Faustina was saying about the feeling heavy with, or, you know, being a chore. It also gets easier over time. The more you just do the empathic listening. I mean, that was exhausting for me too, just listening. Like I like to just be free and say whatever's on my mind, and to hold and be focused on somebody is, you know, it's real effort, and it's sort of rewiring the brain. So there's like neurons are being rewired, and as those pathways get rewired, I think it gets easier.
Mm-hmm. So with the that's the time. But with the listening, you know, I'm hearing you say it's like a muscle, you know, that the
Yeah,
more you practice it, the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the less fatigue will happen. And yeah, you'll just like have more space for it. Basically.
exactly. More strength. Yeah, the muscle metaphor is good. So I think I feel fully heard.
Wonderful. So Faustina, will you be my listener, please?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Um, I am glad to have you practice the listening muscle. um, so yeah, I am, yeah. Where else am you know, it's so funny, like thinking about the Empathy Cafe and how, you know, I'm doing this facilitator training and yeah, like it still kind of boggles my mind that I actually pulled off last Friday, you know, like I mean, but yeah, I guess I just want to feel like I want to reiterate that I don't know, it just seemed like the perfect opportunity and I jumped on it. Yeah, I'll take a pause there.
Yeah, I'm hearing, you're still boggled that your experience facilitating last week went so well, and you saw it as a perfect opportunity to put this into practice, and everything kind of most everything fell into place. And yeah, you really like that.
Yeah, I think especially what I really enjoyed about it was putting a call out for facilitators, you know, if anyone would be willing to help with it. And a lot of people said yes, you know, and that felt really good, you know, to kind of like go, oh, right, you know, of course, people want to spread this work just like I do. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of reflecting back on when you kind of made the open call for anyone or to help facilitate, and there were many responses, and then you realize, yeah, there are people who want to bring this work out into the world.
Well, yes, and actually, I was so glad to first meet with you, Edwin. You know, like it was nice to actually ask you what you thought. You know, like I asked Edwin, you know, what do you think? You know, do you think this, you know, is this going too far ahead or whatever? And it was nice to actually have like a sort of go ahead, like, yeah, you know, how can I support? I'm sorry I can't be there, but you know, like just seeing that it was an okay opportunity and that, you know, like I actually got sort of like got your blessing or something like it, like, you know, that felt very good too, you know. So I realized, it wasn't just me acting upon this, but, you know, getting your support, Edwin, was, yeah, it just meant everything, you know.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that before you actually um, held this empathy circle, you had consulted with Edwin, and he was very encouraging. And even though he wasn't able to make it there, he still showed his support, and um, that really encouraged you to move on with this facilitating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then talking with Bill and with Rasha was very helpful. You know, and I think, yeah, it's like I have in the past, you know, really like, yeah, been looking for people to team up with like this. I've always known, like, that's my time. I've always known that I want to work with, as a team, and I don't know, I just, it's happening, and it feels really good.
Yeah, something that you always wanted to collaborate with other people. And now it feels good to actually have this community of people helping you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did
thank
I
you.
get that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel, thank you.
Um, do we still have time? How much time do we
I've
have
got
before the room
6
closes?
minutes. Yeah, 6 minutes. So it's
Okay.
time for 4-minute round. One more 4-minute.
Yeah, Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening.
Okay. Um, yeah, just now I'm so grateful. I just have so much gratitude in my heart, and it's making me want to spread this feeling of just excitement and empathy and validation. Yeah, I just have so many positive feelings, and it's encouraging me to bring it out to the world.
So you're having a lot of positive feelings about the empathy circle and the work, and that's sort of motivating you to take it out into the world.
Mhm. Yeah, and I agree with Jen about how empowering it can be to just know that you have this community backing you, and that I have people to reach out to. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yes, I was hearing some real gratitude for this community, and also how empowering it is to know that there's people you can reach out to that will support you.
Yeah, and I just can't believe, actually, just looking back at how I was before this training started. It's always been terrifying for me to just email people. As a kind of young person, emails are so formal and so intimidating. And yet, with just the body call assignment, I was able to get that confidence to reach out to people. And yeah, I've exchanged contact information with some of my empathy buddies, and yeah, it's just I see this growth within me, and it's encouraging me to continue growing. Yeah.
So you're really seeing some growth that came out of this practice. For example, didn't like to really email people. It seemed so formal and a bit intimidating. And now when you had to reach out, create these empathy buddy calls, you really kind of overcame that and had a sense of growth that now you're reaching out, talking to people via email.
Yeah. So yeah, just I feel very heard. Thank you.
Okay. Then we just have 3 minutes, so maybe we just kind of open it up. Any sort of questions, comments, anybody want to share? I can just say I'm grateful for everyone taking part, and just these insights just about the value of the growth, the community support. Jen, what you were saying, it feels so gratifying to know that the community kind of came out and supported you. It's still sort of growing, and just to know that I think it was 11 people reached out, took part, and I think that if people had time, probably would have been more too. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, there was actually, I think it was more like 16 or 17 people, but not all of them ended up attending. But yeah, it's a great community.
Yeah, so I knew if you hold another circle, maybe if you want to just finish with how that one went. It sounded like some circles worked and some didn't. Is that the?
Yeah, and I don't know. I also feel, different cultures have different patterns of communications. So I guess I'm trying to explore that. Is it a cultural thing? Because we kind of interrupt a lot. I'm talking about uh, you know I'm talking about myself, my culture,
Mhm.
and so I see a great opportunity in this practice for people to be able to, and people do that. Sometimes they do it out of good intent. It's not to kind of cut people off, being disrespectful. I mean, they want to kind of help them. They want to complete the sentence, but obviously it's not helpful. So I see a great opportunity for a lot of people here in different communities that I work with to see that how can new ways of engagement, new rules of engagement can be found.
Great. Payal, do you have any final comments before we close?
Yes, I think my comments or requests were put up on the survey. I was really curious on how do we decide a topic for the smaller breakout rooms. That was one, and I received this email that you sent of group cohort 11B. So I was really wondering, is that 11B a continuation to us, or is that a new group completely? And obviously, yeah. And obviously, the question was coming from my need to continue the journey.
Yeah, so I'll mention it in that when we go into the breakout, I mean, not into the full group, but 11B is just a continuation. Whoever would like to continue can continue. You can do the training a few times. And then when you feel comfortable, ready, you can, we got to close the room here. When you feel comfortable, you can become a trainee like Rasha or Priyanka, and they're kind of moving up to becoming trainers. And some of the other trainers will leave. And so we want to have the cohort just keep going, ongoing. And then you bring your friends, and so, yeah, I'll give you the schedule. We kind of had to shift the schedule a bit. We had thought right after the next, week we would continue, but now we're going to take a bit of a pause and, yeah. So, and also have to change the dates. I hope people can kind of make that shift.
Sure. And Edwin, the other question was, how do we choose a topic?
Oh, the topic.
Yeah.
Any topic works. It's really up to you. If you're starting with people who are like your family or something, you don't want to start with a conflict topic. You start with a happy topic, like, oh, what's something that really happened that was, that you really enjoyed during the last week, some kind of a success in your life. So, it's a whole big issue, the topics, how do you frame topics? It's almost a module in and of itself, I think, for a session. Okay, I think thanks. Is everybody back? I'm hearing some background noise from somewhere. Let me just, oh, there we go. Yeah, I think it was, maybe. Okay, let's see, where are we at? I think it's me who's next up. Yeah, so let me bring up our questions that we have here. So we're gonna take a couple rounds now to share, and I'll put that into the chat. I realized the last questions, I didn't put them in the chat, I put them into the waiting room, so you didn't see those. So we're gonna have 1 minute per person to go around, up to 1 minute. And the question is, this is sort of just a kind of just hearing, what did you like about the training? What did you hear the benefits? So you shared some of this in the breakout room, but we just want to share it with the full group. Just a chance to go around and share any kind of insights and let's see. So I guess we can just get started. Does anybody want to start? I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Is Priyanka, you ready to go? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I really wanted to share this because this is so amazing what happened to me today. And I think this shows really the power of empathy because when I came into this session, I was filled with a lot of shame and a lot of judgment about myself. But when I shared it with my circle and what I did and my story, and I felt so fully accepted and so fully heard and so fully understood that there was a shift in me that I could feel at the end of the circle. And I'm not in that place of shame anymore, but more in a place of self acceptance. And I just find that so amazing. Just find that so amazing. And that's why I wanted to be the first one to share. So grateful for this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Priyanka. That's beautiful. Yeah, love that. So I'll just go across my screen here, and Jen, you're the next person on the screen if you feel up to sharing.
Sure, I'll share. Yeah, what Priyanka just said, I really resonate with that. I think that, just that's a huge main thing that I've received in attending these empathy circles is just accepting myself more fully. I think that I have lived a long life of feeling shame, and having, experienced traumas and things that have really, I've been trying to heal from. And I feel like this space in particular, I mean, I think I had to really allow myself to step into it, like I had to feel the yes, and I have felt that yes for myself. And then just, I don't know, being with all of you and who are so, just ready for this process, with yourselves and with each other has been so nourishing and allowing, of me to have my feelings, um, and then let them fall away. Like any feelings of shame that may come up, I've been able to kind of face them or be with them while still being connected to all of you. So that's been really amazing. And yeah, I feel like professionally, one of the other things I've been really realizing too is that, like, personal development is professional development. Like in work, you always sign up, you have to do these professional development workshops or whatever, but it's actually personal development that is the key, I feel, to the professional development, being able to grow. And this was an actual thing that I just experienced last week. Like, prior to this training, I don't think I could have done anything like that. But I knew that I was ready to step into it. And so I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, you stepped into holding a cafe on your own with a group to support you. Yeah, just jumped right into it. Yeah, thanks. Anu, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. So this training, this entire experience has been so eventful. It's been so fulfilling. I would say at three different levels. One is at an individual level. This training came at a time where travel is not happening, and we've kind of locked ourselves indoors. And I'm talking from a place in India where the numbers are uh, going up dangerously since last a couple of days. So it came at the right time in the middle of anxiety and a sense of helplessness. So it gave an opportunity to connect with people from different parts of the world. You feel like you're making new friends, and it gives you a sense of traveling without a real traveling happening. So that's one a huge takeaway for me personally. Secondly, I think this has helped me immensely in my coaching practice. As a coach, I'm meant to have deep listening, or there is a competency called holding the space. So I think this training has definitely helped me sharpen that competency as a coach. And then, of course, the third one is as a facilitator. Part of my work is facilitating groups. I'm not sure about the large groups unless, I will do like Jen, I will call out for support and people would turn up. But yes, it's been rewarding in more than one way. So I feel grateful and thank you everyone for creating that experience for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Payal, are you able?
Yeah. So I have been very thankful and grateful that Edwin, you opened these kind of spaces up, and I'm glad that during these times, a space like an empathy circle has showed up, because this is a time which needs more deeper listening. I am in a space of wanting to continue the journey, curious, wanting to first work through the process with myself, wanting to bring this to my family context, and I possibly have some limitations in my approach or in the way of bringing this to my family context. And I shared this in my breakout circle last week, where if I do something like this, I will be told, don't start your process on us. So, to be able to bring a process like this in a non-judgmental way in an ease is something that I'm grappling with. Maybe it will eventually come. It could also be my own limitation. So I'm really looking forward to continue this journey. And thank you for being patient with so many of my questions that I have been continuously popping up.
Thank you, Payal, and glad to hear the questions. Questions are welcome. Mainek?
Yeah. So like every time, so we try to put up a topic here to discuss, and it ends with like whatever is alive in you. And I think today we just like spoke of whatever is alive in us, and like really having those deep conversation. And I think so one of the things also that came up, I think so Larry spoke about giving is receiving, and sometimes it's hard to agree to that, because like I am someone who's been on that one-sided relationship of giving, and it just becomes hard at some point of time. So I'm kind of overwhelmed right now in more ways than one. One is about the vulnerability that everyone shared today, and also the sort of kindness that was extended in lending a ear to all of this, because it takes a lot of a cognitive and emotional burden to hold that space, and it's great that it's being done. I think it's helping me to be a better person myself, both in my professional as well as social sphere.
Okay, well, thank you. Faustina?
Yeah, I think one thing I really learned from this whole experience was how meaningful life can be if I just make an effort to listen and take things in and learn. Um, I mean, most of my friends right now are in college. And so there's that dilemma within me of, am I learning anything right now? Am I at the point in my life where I'm just, plateauing and just not doing anything with my life? But then, with experiences like this, I'm made to realize that, I can learn so much if I just make an effort to learn, just to accept that everything can teach me something. And I think it's such an important process that should be carried more in the world. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Faustina. Maria? There you go.
I think for me, I really appreciate the 5 weeks, and initially I really wasn't sure what the time commitment and what the experience was going to be like, but I really, really got to get to know myself better, gain greater self-awareness, and also self-acceptance in some of the areas that yeah, I just needed to open up, really reflect, and allow myself to go through the process. So I really appreciate that. And I think one of the greatest benefits I've gained in my personal life is that my family now is open to this. And my son has mentioned possibly experiencing this as a bigger dream with his friends and peers. And just like I have all of you to share with, I really got to develop that with my family. So like the dinner we had, it's like I have my own group of empathy warriors and go online and meet with you all, and we can connect. I have more empathy warriors, and it sort of really made Edwin's vision into this reality that we could expand this and experience this. And I also really did catch myself at times where I felt really fully heard with people in the circle, that sometimes when I went back to my real life, I had greater capacity for listening, and I almost sometimes didn't have anything I needed to speak about. And so as Larry and I kind of referred to this experience, I know in NBC, for example, it's like you spend the time in meditation so that you could come in here and have the capacity to hold that space and listen. But this process for me has really been organically given me the capacity to listen and take in more. And that was a very, very unexpected experience for me. So moving forward, I'm really looking forward to holding some time and setting up empathy cafes like you have, Edwin, and within my community, incorporating that.
Oh, thank you. So I just wanted to mention that we do have a mother in one of our other cohorts and her 14-year-old son that have taken this together. So bring your kids, bring your children. They're all welcome. And he gets a lot out of it. They've done it twice.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing it a second time now. So
oh, that's great.
Yeah. So Larry, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, this is the family conversation. That it's just, this is the family. This is the conversation. Thank you all, Maria. I love what you were saying there. That I love that. This process, the process of being in an empathic circle, this process is the work and the result, the means and the end at the same time. This is the medicine, and it tastes, as Carl Rogers said, and it tastes damn good. The medicine tastes damn good. It's fun. Come on, it's fun. This is better than going to the movies. This is really having communication with ourselves and our brothers and sisters and having a real relationship with each other. This is it. So I'm loving it. The benefits are being here, showing up, and communicating and listening. Thank you all. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Sally, would you like to go?
I have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, I started out, well, just feeling like I am fine-tuning this process, to only find out with all of the possible things that go wrong that I did all of them, and that I was not a good listener and not a good person in a circle. But anyway, through the process, the thing that was most profound in my personal life was the stress reduction between me and my husband with just the simple empathy, that just stress reduction. And I would just say that this process does exactly that. It trains people to reduce the stress in their conversations. And that's something that has never been done before. And I just am grateful because of the insights of all the people here. They're just so amazing. And I can't believe, Faustina's only 19 and that Maria has this incredible relationship with her family. And I want to thank Larry for being there for me. And it's just totally amazing.
Thank you, Sally. King?
Yes, I do want to give a shout out to Larry. From what I heard, he has been helping people all across this circle, not only me. So I have so many things I'm grateful for being in this circle, like the friendship, the release, the insights, perspective from each and every circle that I had the chance to be in or to host. I will share with my group that I guess the biggest benefit for me in my personal life has been the training has given me the motivation to overcome the barrier, just to start a circle, just to start a new way of communicating with my loved ones, to kickstart my own project. So my sister and I have a small project to build a support system for people with mental illness. And thanks to Empathy Circle, I had the motivation to begin the series of Empathy Circles around those topics. And we'll be working towards an empathy cafe soon. That is the long-term goal. And one more good news is that I have a senior who has been teaching NDC for some time, and she just asked me yesterday whether I would want to do Empathy Circle twice a month for the group of people who have gone through her courses. And I'm like, okay, I'm not that ready, but I will be willing. And I'm just so glad that all of you here have given me so much support, so much knowledge, and so much practice. Thank you.
Thank you, King, for that. I think we have Rita. Is that you? There you are.
Hello. Yeah, I think one of the most valuable things is like hearing from you all, like building this community and hearing the stories and and getting the little like insights into your lives about how this is like popping and working. And so whenever there's like little doubts and stuff and like, inner chatter in my mind that comes up about not being good enough or being self-critical or, how do I get this out into the world more? It's just like hearing your stories brings me a lot of hope and encouragement and courage. So yeah, thank you for sharing them all. I have like two things that I kind of want to respond to that people have said. One is like, what Payal, you said about introducing this. It seems like, and maybe Edwin, you want to add to this, but it's like we've had these examples where like it's really easy for Maria to introduce into her family, but then for other families it's kind of, there's a barrier, because for whatever reason, they're a little bit more sensitive to processes and stuff. But like I would just encourage you to not give up and to do it in more simple ways, like when people see you and hear you practicing, just active listening and like just doing it one-on-one, they might sort of slowly be open to it. And I think sometimes like the slow and the gentle kind of way of introducing something really helps build a relationship, and that's important as well. Yeah, do you want to add anything to that bit, Edwin?
Well, that's sort of like we're talking about next steps. I think that's going to be like a whole session or module of its own. Like, how do you really implement this and, going forward? I think that's, it sort of starts with having the intention and just working towards that intention and come back to the next cohort.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing about like, this is just like one like this is like the low hanging fruit that's so potent and powerful. And like, as we build, strengths in this, you know that there's like other tools out there like NVC and, how to actually be, the active listener with good boundaries when you don't have the capacity to listen. Like, it's okay, to say no, like I don't have the capacity to listen right now. That's honoring ourselves. And there's so much more deeper emotional work around having good boundaries and being authentic to our own needs. And I think, Edwin has often said, I've heard you say, Edwin, that this technique is not just about being like, nice and empathic and pleasant, all the time. You can totally still be like, angry and sad and powerful, but through compassion, through the lens of compassion. And there's like, there's nuances about that, which, there's bodies of work out there about that. So, and that's like a different level of matrix shifting, shifting our reality and opening to other possibilities. So that this is the one of the basic potent tools that is easy to keep taking out there. So I kind of said that so don't be harsh on yourselves if like it doesn't feel like you want to keep getting better and stuff. It takes time, basically. Yeah.
Well, we do want to do one more round about where everyone's going to take it next. I just put the question there before Priyanka leads that. Maybe I'll just set up what we have planned. We started this cohort, just as a cohort with the different trainers. And since then, I've after we started, I thought of a sort of a new way of sort of scheduling these cohorts, that they would be sort of ongoing cohorts. So it's like, we have, this is 11A, we're going to have 11B, 11C. So the cohorts will become ongoing. We're sort of in the process of setting that up. And so what we came up with is we're going to take a 2-week break. And I sent this out in the email. We're going to have a 2-week break. And then we're going to move the day to a day before this, because that's the day that Rita has available, for hosting these. So she and I will sort of be the core. I'm not sure, Priyanka may join us too, depending on her schedule. And so we'll be doing 2 weeks break. Then we'll be having 2 weeks where we do just an empathy cafe, where you can come and you can bring your friends. They can sort of try it out, see how it works. You can sort of introduce them to the process, and it will just explain how the training works, kind of an intro to the training. And then in May, we will start with the cohort 11B. So you're all welcome to join that cohort. You can take the cohort a couple times just as a participant, or if you're very experienced with facilitation, you can step into being a trainee and help facilitate the breakout rooms, and you start presenting different parts of the cafe, of the training, and then sort of work your way to become a trainer. So our goal is really the full training is for you to become a trainer, to put us out of a job so we can go start other cohorts and, just kind of keep the ball rolling. So we're really trying to get you to become a trainer, and that you can figure is going to take, 3, 4, 5 times, at least taking the training. So we really encourage you to take that. So I'm going to turn it over to Priyanka, who's just going to ask about how everyone's going to continue. And also, if you have any comments about, do you want to take the cohort again? If so, why, or why not? Is it a time issue or, so, Priyanka.
Thank you, Edwin. So The question is, what is your future vision with these empathy circles? Where do you want to take them? How do you want to use them? And like Edwin said, if you would be willing to join the future cohorts, if you have any time issues, please let us know, because we, like Edwin said, we want to continue this. We want to make it like a self-sufficient thing that keeps rolling and spreading empathy everywhere in the world, and love and compassion and peace. So that's the goal. So I'll call on Faustina because I can see her first on my screen.
I would love to, I think, just have more conversations between the youth and the older generations, because I'm working with a lot of young people, and so there's a lot of dialogue within our generations. But I would, love to have that connection. Yeah, and I would love to participate in the more training programs, yeah, the other cohorts. And I'll have to see the schedules, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be joining the next batches. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Faustina. Jen?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to continue with the Friday Cafe, and offering the empathy circles there. And this summer, I think I'm going to be doing a teacher training. And so we will introduce empathy circles there at 3 different schools. So yeah, that's the plan. And then I would like to continue with the next cohort, but I'm not sure that Wednesday will work. So we will see. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. So excited as a fellow educator to see this going into education. Maria?
I would like to continue. I'm not exactly sure how the schedule would work, but and as Edwin suggested, maybe recruiting my son into doing it and continue on to be a trainee eventually and go through the process. I'm hoping to be able to do that.
Thank you, Maria. I love how it's passing on to the next generation right in front of our eyes. Thank you so much. Menak?
Yeah, so I'll probably drop by into the cafe sometimes, but it's a matter of headspace and time. I probably won't continue with the training right now. Not, at least not at this point.
What is your vision for will you be holding circles in your family,
I'll drag a lot of my friends into this. I'm going to introduce this to a lot of my friends. I hopefully they see value in this. So certainly that's actually that's top of my list.
Good to hear, Menak. Thank you so much. Larry?
So I really enjoyed it, and I think the experience itself is the trainings. And I love that we didn't just sit here, reading 100 pages and then take a test. Where every time we got together, we got to practice, and that's the benefit. That's the fun. That's the joy. That's the life itself. That's what I love about it. How will you apply this? The real value is applying this in every communication. I don't care if it's in a grocery store or at the the petrol station, wherever you're at, applying this with everyone. And yeah, I want to continue doing this. I'm offering it on my website. My website is miaminetwork.org, and I'm offering empathy circles. And if anybody needs an extra, player, call me up, send me an email. I'll be happy to participate with anyone doing empathy circles anytime. And I'm going to be continuing with the XR group with Edwin. So yeah, I'm down. Thank you. Love you all.
Thank you, Larry. And I really love the reminder of practicing this in every interaction, not just when you're in a circle. Thank you so much. Sally.
Well, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was in a Zoom training to figure out how to do the empathy circles. And that was really helpful. And they also have one for the iPhone that I didn't do. I really feel like I'm a beginner, and Wednesdays are great and Thursdays are fine. And I'm just gonna start out with my brother and sister and close friends. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And with my husband, we play a game called Earth, where we're grounded, and I listen to exactly what he said, and he listens exactly to what I've said, and there aren't any arguments. And it's just a quick version of empathy. I don't recommend it, but it's just what I can do with him. And it's working wonderfully.
Thank you, Sally. It's nice to hear your experiences of taking this into your family and friends, and wish you all the best with it. Anu?
Yeah. So my vision is to, I've already introduced this to a circle of friends, and we plan to meet up um, every fortnight. I'm also planning to introduce this to a group of women coaches that I'm a part of. And we've been holding spaces, some similar spaces where, we meet up and we, talk about different things in life. So I think that's where I'm going to introduce this to that circle. And I also do a lot of work with, I do a lot of programs on Train the Trainer. So I think one place where I think it would be really useful for the new facilitators is to practice deep listening, and so that they can kind of utilize it when they are managing their own groups. And how do they listen to people without being judgmental and coming up with a know-it-all kind of responses. So I see where all these places where I can apply my learning. In terms of continuing with the training, I would love to, but like everyone else said, that looking at the dates and the schedule, the timings, of course. But yes, most likely I would like to continue to participate and learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. It's really wonderful to see how you're going to take this into your professional life and your professional circles, making the working world a better place. It's really heartening to know. Kang?
Yes, definitely this has helped with my everyday listening. I react less. On the more formal end, as I shared, I'm having weekly circles on the theme of coping with mental illness. I'm having twice a month circle on the theme of NVC. I'm having another group of educators in Vietnam who are figuring out how to bring circles, at least like bits and pieces of these practices into schools. Yes, and a few other parts that I'm involved with. But yes, as who was it? Anu said, would I think 95% certainty that I would love to join the next circle. I did have a question about is there a different application to be a trainee? I'm confused about this. Do I come in as a Yes,
I can just quickly answer that. In terms of, you just come back as a participant or as a trainee. If you feel like you're ready, you can talk with us. We can sort of, have a discussion about if we feel you're ready or if you need to be a participant again. So if you're interested in being a trainee, just let us know and we'll, kind of gauge that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Kang. It's so nice to see that you're finally opening up this space for talking about mental illness in Vietnam, and wish you all the best with that. Payal?
Hi. So I see myself bringing this to families. I do work in family constellation and with families. Also in the leadership space that I work in, I see the need to bring this. But for me, these are role-based bringing in, and I think they are a little more easy. For me, if I bring it in my family, that will be my biggest achievement for me to be able to live it more with people who matter a lot. I would like to join the next cohort. I had asked Edwin this question, that is it meant for us, and he clarified. So I definitely like to join the next cohort. Eventually, I do want to take this part with Edwin and team. And I don't know who all are there. I'm just saying Edwin because I know Edwin, you were my touch point. But I would like to take this journey forward from a trainee to next, wherever it leads. I understand that the timing is Wednesday or Thursday mornings, the similar time, and that works very well, at least for me, so that I can manage stuff at home. And I would like to join the cafe that's coming up. So I'd like to kind of, I think what I'm mentally making a note for myself is if I can give the Empathy Circle X number of hours every week, then I think I will be able to live it, practice it, and make it like a process for me. That's really where I am. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Payal. It's always a challenge to bring such things to families. I know that because my own sister says, don't start that NVC shit on me and things like that. I hear that a lot. So it's very courageous. And just like Kang said, continue on. Rita?
Yep. Well, I've mentioned previously that I'm running a monthly Empathy Cafe series on deep adaptation and the climate emergency and the pandemic in real life in Melbourne. So yeah, that continues to happen. In the first cafe, there were 9 people. It's actually a ticketed cafe because I hired a venue, so I want to cover costs. Yeah, so I just want to keep building that. The first cafe I ran over a year ago had 30 people, so I want to build back up to that amount. Yeah, but it's always on my radar to do this with like schools or different community groups and stuff. So I'll just kind of keep seeing what's out there locally that I can do in real life. So because I value that, yeah, face-to-face interaction too.
Thank you, Rita. Edwin, would you like to start answering questions now?
Yeah, we could. Just wanted to mention that we're going to have 4 cohorts. There's one on our Mondays Pacific time. It's that Larry's a trainee on, and that's actually for Extinction Rebellion. So that's the environmental group. So we're setting up a cohort for that. We have one on our our Wednesday mornings, and then we'll be doing this one on Wednesday at my evenings. And so there's 2 there on Wednesdays, which is, in Australia, Asia is going to be on Thursdays. And then we have one on our Saturdays. That's my Saturdays, which will be, the Sunday for many of you. So there's, 4 cohorts to choose from. So I just mentioned that. Yeah, you said about questions. I didn't know there was any questions, any specific, was there a question I missed or Priyanka?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if anybody had any questions or.
Oh, any final questions yeah, kind of any final question before we coming to a last few minutes here? Yeah, Sally.
Yeah, I don't use my credit card online anymore. So if, I mean, you have like a PO box or something like that, I'd be more than happy to donate.
Okay, yeah, if anyone wants to donate, this is a free training, but you're welcome to donate. And I can send you an address, Sally, if you want. And also we have a Facebook and PayPal fundraiser. So if you want to support the development of the training, that would be great too. So kind of in closing, here's the feedback form. We asked you about what you liked about the training. That the feedback form, you can say anything that, other things like, hey, what I didn't like about it, because we really want to hear, any challenges you had about the training so that we can address those and improve them. And so then we.
Did you post it, Edwin? Oh,
I did. I got to make sure I'm always posting it. No, I did.
Kang
see,
reposted it.
Oh, I posted, somehow that changes. I don't post it to everyone. So that is the feedback form. Yeah, I gotta watch that. So that's to everyone. So that's the feedback. I'd love to get your feedback. We'd love to kind of gather that, and really helps with the improvement and design of the course. And yeah, I love this. It's like I mentioned in our circle just how much I grow and learn. And so I'm grateful for all of your participation, your connection, your friendship, your warmth. And so really great to connect. And so thank you just for being here and taking part in this. And yet this is really, as we started off, this was about a culture of empathy, right? It's not like, hey, there's a still a process. It's a nice, pretty practical, efficient, effective little process, but it fits in with a larger vision that we want to really transform society to have empathy be sort of a primary social value. And, to keep thinking about that, how do we create this more empathic society? Because I'm convinced that the world would just be a better place when people start talking to each other, listening to each other, and sort of spreading that throughout the world. So with that, maybe we can just have a final, post one feeling. Let me just put that in that you're having right now before we close. Thrilled for me. I hope I sent that to everyone. If you want to post your one feeling, relief, grateful, content. And hopeful, yay, content, another content. Aligned, joyful. Okay, great. So with that, we've got our final mirrored jazz hands. So until the next time, look forward to seeing you again. And thanks again so much for taking part in this. And see you all. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
See you in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
All right, everyone. Love you all. Good night.
Good night, Larry. Good to see you, Maria.
Good night.
Anu. Bye,
Good night.
Sally. Just loved your stories. Thanks.
Thank you, and special vote of thanks to you, Edwin, for starting this and continue to, take it forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that, Anu. Alrighty, let me stop the recording.